It began on an ordinary evening that, in retrospect, changed everything. I had just returned from a long day at the office, a day punctuated by endless meetings and the relentless hum of routine. In the quiet of my small downtown apartment, I sat curled up on the worn sofa with my phone in hand, expecting nothing more than the usual barrage of work emails and friendly texts. Instead, an unfamiliar ping jolted me from my reverie. The screen displayed a message I hadn't expected, an unplanned text that simply read, "Elite Gala, the Orion Ball. Tonight. 11:30 p.m. Details to follow." My heart skipped a beat. I knew nothing about the Orion Ball, an event reserved for the upper echelons of society, a world of opulence and exclusivity that had always seemed as distant as a fairy tale. I stared at the message in disbelief. Had someone sent this by mistake? Or was it a clandestine invitation meant just for me? For a long moment, I weighed my options. Part of me was terrified at the idea of being drawn into such a high-stakes world, but another part, long suppressed, thrummed with anticipation. I'd spent years playing it safe, conforming to expectations, and living a life governed by routine. And yet, the allure of an elite event, whispered about in hushed tones among glamorous circles, was irresistible. I scrolled back through my messages, wondering if I'd seen any hints before now. There were a few stray texts about secret escapes and unexpected luxuries, but nothing this direct. With trembling fingers, I typed a curt reply, "I'm in." And with that one tap, the door to an entirely new chapter swung open. The days that followed were an emotional maelstrom. I replayed that unexpected message over and over, each time wondering if it were a figment of my imagination. But the message was real, and its timing was impeccable, coinciding with moments when I felt most trapped in the humdrum of everyday life. I began to recall a time when I'd been bold and spontaneous, a younger version of myself who relished unpredictability and savored every thrill. Back then, I danced under moonlit skies and spent nights lost in the laughter of unbridled joy. But somewhere along the line, responsibility and the weight of societal expectations had dimmed that spark. That unplanned text, then, was like a beacon urging me to reclaim a part of myself I had long abandoned. I started to make small changes. I signed up for a painting class on a whim, went out dancing at a local club, and even allowed myself to dream of a life less ordinary. Each act, however minor, felt like a rebellion against the confines of the predictable. The Orion Ball wasn't just an invitation, it was a call to arms, a challenge to break free from my self-imposed limitations. And as the night of the event drew nearer, my anticipation grew into an urgent need to escape. In the days leading up to the Orion Ball, an unexpected string of unplanned texts began to arrive. One message detailed an exclusive networking event at a rooftop lounge, while another hinted at a clandestine dinner at a renowned posh bistro. Each text was brief, cryptic, and laced with the promise of luxury and secrecy. I soon realized that these weren't isolated incidents, they were part of a tapestry, a secret escape plan that someone, or something, had woven just for me. The texts mentioned elite events that I'd only ever read about in glossy magazines, charity galas with guests draped in designer gowns, private auctions where priceless art exchanged hands behind closed doors, and midnight soirees held in palatial estates. I wasn't sure whether I was being recruited into a world of extravagant indulgence or if these messages were simply meant to seduce me into one unforgettable night of escape. Late one evening, while walking home from a routine shift at work, I received another text. Decadent dinner at La Belle Reverie. Meet in 45 minutes. Dressed to dazzle. I felt a shiver of excitement as I read it. La Belle Reverie was a name that evoked images of sumptuous food and secret rendezvous, an elite bistro tucked away in a historic district of the city. I realized that the messages were no accident, they were carefully curated signals inviting me to step beyond the boundaries of my safe, ordinary existence. With a mixture of trepidation and excitement, I began planning. I rummaged through my wardrobe for an outfit that felt both daring and elegant, a dress I had once worn to a fancy event but had long since relegated to the back of my closet. That night, I resolved to embrace the unknown, to let these unplanned texts guide me toward a life reawakened by spontaneity and allure. At precisely 11 p.m. on the night of the dinner, I found myself standing outside La Belle Reverie. The bistro's facade was understated yet captivating, its ornate wooden door, framed by flickering vintage lanterns, hinted at secrets within. I took a deep breath and stepped inside, immediately enveloped by the scent of rich spices and the soft murmur of a live jazz band. The interior was a vision of timeless elegance. Deep velvet drapes, polished mahogany tables, and delicate candlelight created an ambience that was both intimate and opulent. I was greeted by a host in a tailored suit who led me to a secluded table in a quiet corner. There, I could feel the pulse of the night and the promise of undiscovered pleasures. As I settled into my seat, I pulled out my phone and reread the text that had brought me here. It was as if the message itself was imbued with magic, a summons from an unseen benefactor inviting me to a clandestine, decadent escape. My pulse quickened at the thought of what the night might hold. Course after course arrived with the precision of a well-rehearsed performance. The first dish, a delicate amuse-bouche, was a burst of unexpected flavor that set my taste buds alight. I savored each bite, lost in the moment as the soft strains of saxophone filled the air. Between courses, I exchanged glances with a mysterious figure sitting at the adjacent table. His eyes, dark and intent, seemed to communicate a silent invitation, a promise of secrets yet to be revealed. After the final course, a dessert that melted into a symphony of sweet and savory flavors, I felt as if time itself had slowed. The decadent dinner was more than a meal, it was a ritual, an awakening of the senses that spoke to the depths of my suppressed desires. I realized that this secret escape was not merely an act of rebellion against the mundane, but a journey into a realm of passion, elegance, and profound self-discovery. Following the sumptuous dinner, an unplanned text appeared. Your escape continues. Retreat awaits at Le Paradis Bleu. Check in now. Le Paradis Bleu was an elite hotel known for its discreet luxury, a sanctuary for those seeking to disappear from the prying eyes of the everyday world. With little hesitation, I hailed a cab and set off into the night. The city blurred by as I stared out at the darkened streets, my mind buzzing with the exhilaration of the evening. The hotel's grandeur was breathtaking. Towering glass walls and sleek, modern lines conveyed an air of sophistication, yet there was something intimate about the discreet service and hushed corridors. I checked in at the reception, where a courteous attendant confirmed my booking with a knowing smile. "Welcome, Ms. Laurent," she said softly, addressing me by a name I had never used but somehow felt belonged to me in that moment. I was led to a lavish suite on one of the higher floors. The room was a study in opulence, plush furnishings, an expansive window offering a panoramic view of the glittering city below, and a bed draped in crisp, white linens. I sank onto the velvet chaise and let the reality of my secret escape wash over me. Every detail, from the gentle hum of the air conditioning to the delicate aroma of fresh flowers arranged on a bedside table, was meticulously designed to evoke luxury and comfort. I spent a long, reflective hour in that room, absorbing the serenity and indulgence. It felt as if I had stepped into another world, a world where I could shed the burdens of the past and embrace a future filled with possibility. I recorded every sensation in a leather-bound journal that I kept on the nightstand, each entry a testament to the transformative power of stepping beyond one's comfort zone. Over the next few days, as I remained in the plush seclusion of Le Paradis Bleu, my phone continued to buzz with unplanned texts about elite events. One message detailed an invitation to a private art exhibit in a renovated warehouse, while another hinted at a secret masquerade ball at a historic mansion. Each text was a new puzzle piece in a mosaic of escape, indulgence, and reinvention. I found myself grappling with a mix of emotions. On one hand, the thrill of these elite events awakened a part of me I had long tried to ignore, a desire for connection, passion, and adventure. On the other hand, I couldn't shake the gnawing question, who was behind these messages? Were they orchestrated by someone I trusted, or was I being drawn into a labyrinth of secrets from which there was no escape? One afternoon, while lounging by the hotel's infinity pool, I received a particularly cryptic text. Truth lies in the reflection. Look beyond the surface. I stared at the message, pondering its meaning as I gazed at my own reflection in the water. It was a reminder that my journey was not just about escaping the mundane but about rediscovering who I truly was. I realized that every unplanned text, every elite event, was a call to shed my old identity and embrace a version of myself that was bold, authentic, and unafraid of the unknown. That evening, I sat by a poolside bar, sipping a delicate cocktail and reflecting on the convergence of luxury and liberation. I began to document my thoughts and feelings more earnestly in my journal, determined to capture the raw emotions and insights that these experiences were unlocking within me. It was as if the messages had peeled away layers of self-doubt and conformity, revealing a vibrant core that had been waiting patiently to be discovered. As the days turned into nights, I found that the unplanned texts became more frequent, each one adding another layer to the mystery of my secret escape. I started to piece together a strange pattern, a web of elite events that seemed interconnected, all designed to lure me deeper into a world of hidden pleasures and clandestine encounters. One night, after a particularly sumptuous dinner at a private rooftop restaurant, I received a text that chilled me. Not all secrets can remain hidden forever. Beware. I felt a shudder ripple through me. The warning was ambiguous yet ominous. It forced me to question whether the intoxicating allure of these elite events came at a price. Was someone, or something, tracking my every move? Were these indulgences part of a larger scheme that I had yet to understand? I spent that night poring over my journal entries, looking for clues in the details of each encounter. I reread the texts, trying to decipher hidden meanings behind the carefully chosen words. Slowly, I began to suspect that the messages were not just random invitations but deliberate signals orchestrated by a shadowy benefactor with a vested interest in my transformation. The thought unsettled me, yet I also recognized that fear was part of the liberation process. I resolved that I would continue to embrace these elite events, but I would also remain vigilant, an explorer in a realm where passion and danger dance together in delicate balance. One crisp, starry evening, an unplanned text arrived that set my heart racing. Midnight. The Grand Masquerade at Château de Lune. Let your disguise reveal your truth. Château de Lune was a sprawling estate on the outskirts of the city, a place steeped in history and whispered legends. The invitation to a masquerade ball promised an evening of mystery, decadence, and the thrill of anonymity. I hesitated only for a moment before deciding that I would attend, embracing the allure of a night where masks allowed secrets to be shared without fear. In the days leading up to the ball, I transformed. I shopped for an ensemble that combined elegance with an edge of intrigue, a midnight gown with shimmering accents and a delicate mask that concealed my eyes while hinting at the passion beneath. Each morning, as I prepared for the night, I felt the thrill of reinvention coursing through me. I was not merely escaping the confines of my routine, I was reinventing myself entirely. At the masquerade, the atmosphere was electric. The grand hall of Château de Lune was bathed in candlelight and the soft strains of a live string quartet. Guests in elaborate costumes and ornate masks moved gracefully through the room, their identities hidden yet their intentions palpable. I navigated the crowd with a sense of freedom I had never known, exchanging glances and fleeting smiles with strangers who, like me, were here to shed their inhibitions. Amid the swirl of masked figures, I encountered a man whose presence commanded attention. His mask was intricate, and his eyes, visible in the gaps, held a depth that was both mysterious and familiar. We struck up a conversation, and as the night unfolded, I realized that our connection transcended the anonymity of the masquerade. In hushed tones and furtive smiles, we exchanged stories of escape, longing, and the desire to reclaim a life defined by passion rather than routine. The masquerade ball was a sensory feast, a night where every whispered secret, every brush of gloved hands, was imbued with the promise of transformation. And as the clock neared midnight, I felt a profound sense of belonging, a realization that I was part of a hidden world where elite events were more than social gatherings, they were catalysts for change. In the aftermath of the masquerade, I found myself at a crossroads. The unplanned texts, the decadent dinners, the clandestine hotel retreats, they had all led me into a realm of luxurious escape and raw, unfiltered emotion. Yet as the euphoria of those nights began to wane, I was left to grapple with the inevitable questions. What was the cost of this newfound freedom? Could I sustain a life built on secrets and elite escapades without losing the parts of myself that I had long buried? One early morning, I awoke in the luxurious solitude of my hotel suite at Le Paradis Bleu, feeling an overwhelming mixture of elation and melancholy. I gazed out at the city below as the first rays of dawn painted the sky in soft pastels. In that quiet moment, I realized that the secret escape had given me more than just an adrenaline rush, it had unlocked parts of my soul that I had thought were lost forever. I spent hours reflecting in my journal, writing about the nights of clandestine indulgence and the bittersweet taste of forbidden freedom. Every unplanned text was a reminder of the delicate balance between risk and reward, between the thrill of luxury and the price of living beyond convention. I resolved that I would cherish these experiences, but also that I needed to integrate them into a life that could stand in the light of day. Over the ensuing weeks, I began to bridge the gap between the world of elite, secret escapades and the life I had always known. I started to invite close friends to join me on outings that, while not as extravagant as the clandestine events, carried hints of the passion I had discovered. I explored art galleries, attended poetry readings, and even hosted small, intimate dinner parties in my own apartment, each gathering a subtle homage to the wild, untamed spirit I had reawakened. I also continued to receive occasional unplanned texts, each one a reminder that the allure of escape was never far away. But now, I understood that true transformation wasn't about running away from the ordinary, it was about embracing every facet of who I was, both in the light and in the shadows. I learned to celebrate my duality, the responsible, measured side that managed my career and relationships, and the daring, impulsive spirit that craved decadence and adventure. As I integrated these parts of myself, I began to experience a deep sense of inner balance. I wrote daily in my journal, capturing not only the moments of elite indulgence but also the mundane beauty of everyday life, a warm smile from a stranger on the street, the gentle rustle of autumn leaves, the quiet comfort of a favorite book. Each word became a thread, weaving together a tapestry that was uniquely mine. Yet, as with any profound transformation, the journey was not without its shadows. There were nights when the thrill of the secret escapes gave way to haunting doubts and a lingering fear of being exposed. I recalled the early days, the adrenaline, the ecstasy, and wondered if I was simply chasing an illusion, a temporary high that would ultimately leave me empty. One particularly stormy night, while alone in my apartment, I received an unplanned text that sent a chill down my spine. Not all escapes lead to freedom. Beware the cost. The message was brief, almost accusatory, and it forced me to confront the darker side of my newfound life. I spent that night in deep introspection, questioning the motivations behind the elite events and the true nature of the secret escape I had embraced. Was it merely a flight from a life of monotony, or was there a hidden agenda, a deeper layer of intrigue that I had yet to uncover? I revisited my journal entries from the early days, reading over the vivid descriptions of clandestine dinners and luxurious hotel stays. With each word, I felt the weight of both ecstasy and regret. It was a reckoning, an acknowledgement that every secret, every unplanned text, came with its own price. I resolved that if I were to continue on this path, I needed to confront the shadows head-on, to understand the full spectrum of my emotions and desires, no matter how painful or uncertain. The storm outside raged on, a mirror to the turmoil within me. As lightning illuminated the cityscape, I made a silent vow, to embrace the beauty and the danger of my secret life, to seek truth even in the darkest corners, and to emerge stronger for it. That night, I realized that transformation was never without cost, but the courage to face that cost was what defined true liberation. Time, as it does, gradually healed the wounds of uncertainty and doubt. I began to see that my secret escapes, with all their wild indulgence and elite opulence, were only one part of a larger, richer life. The unplanned texts and clandestine events had opened my eyes to a world of passion and possibility, but they had also taught me the value of balance and authenticity. I returned to familiar places, a favorite cafe where I'd once spent lazy afternoons reading, a quiet park bench that had witnessed my quiet contemplation, and allowed myself to be fully present in both the extraordinary and the everyday. I reconnected with old friends, sharing my journey with them in honest, unguarded conversations. Slowly, I began to integrate the lessons of my secret escapes into a life that was sustainable and true. One bright morning, as I sat in the glow of a new day, I received one final unplanned text. Your escape was only the beginning. Embrace your true self. Those words resonated deep within me. I realized that the elite events, the decadent dinners, and the luxurious hotel retreats had served as catalysts, not ends in themselves, but stepping stones toward discovering who I was meant to be. I had learned to navigate the delicate interplay between risk and reward, between mystery and openness. And with that understanding came a profound sense of inner freedom. Now, as I reflect on my journey from that fateful midnight ping to the present day, I feel a quiet pride and gratitude. The unplanned texts, the elite events, and the secret escapes have woven together a narrative of transformation, a story of a woman who dared to step out of the shadows and into a life of unreserved passion and authenticity. I have come to realize that the most captivating chapters of our lives are often written in the language of the unexpected, and that every secret escape is an invitation to rediscover the brilliance that lies within. Today, I sit in a sunlit corner of a bustling urban bistro, a place where the memories of clandestine nights mingle with the vibrancy of everyday connections. My journal rests beside me, its pages filled with reflections, sketches, and heartfelt notes. I have learned that life is a delicate tapestry woven from both the known and the unknown, from meticulously planned routines and unplanned escapes that remind us of our hidden passions. The unplanned texts about elite events, the decadent dinners, and the lavish hotel retreats remain treasured chapters in my story. They are reminders that sometimes the most transformative experiences come when we least expect them, when the universe sends us a signal to break free and embrace a life that is raw, real, and beautifully unpredictable. I have come to understand that to live fully is to be both daring and wise, to seek out luxury and indulgence, while never forgetting the importance of balance and authenticity. The secret escapes that once defined my nights have merged with the light of day, creating a harmonious existence where passion and responsibility walk hand in hand. As I raise my glass to toast the memory of every unplanned text and every elite event that set me on this extraordinary path, I know that my journey is far from over. There will always be moments of mystery, unexpected signals that beckon me to explore new realms of possibility. And I will welcome them with an open heart, ready to write the next chapter in a life that is as captivating as it is real.